So I wanted to respond to the election from the other day. And so if you're finding this video right now and you have not seen the prediction video I made the other day, please go back and watch that one. I'm telling you that because I was mostly right. So go back and watch that one and then watch this one. So the election that happened the other day, these are the sorts of elections that it's election night that if you get interested in this stuff, they're really fun to watch because things are happening. It's kind of like watching a football game because there are results that are coming in and there's scores and the scores are changing and things like that. Only the results actually matter, and so that's kind of fun. So a few things. So one, yes, Virginia absolutely went to the Republican. So the Republican won Virginia, which is crazy. It's what I predicted, but it's crazy. Won by 2 points, which is quite a bit. It's not a landslide by any stretch, but it was a state that has absolutely been considered a blue state for the last several elections and was trending more blue, and the response was pretty absolute. The coverage was really interesting. If you looked at the coverage of there and New Jersey, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, was how much the change was happening district by district, how big the change was. So the change in Virginia, to have an idea of how far it moved about 16 points. So if you compare to Biden's results in Virginia to the direction of this one, it went 16 points in a single election in 1 year. That's massive. It's massive, and it really holds true to what I've believed all along, which is it's a reaction to things that are going on. They lay it out as a whole bunch of things like, oh, the party not in power, and they only ever count in power from the presidency, which is weird because the Democrats hold both houses of Congress, but they'll say, oh, well, they always win or whatever. No, those things have an effect, but this election, if you look at what people said coming out of the polling places, it was very much local issue. It was what was going on in the state, and very largely very, very liberal issues being presented at the top of the state. And for me, it's not even about liberal issues as much as it is about loss of individual liberty issues. That this idea that the state can force you to think things, you have to be on the same page, that un-American things, this idea you're all racist, everybody, you're born racist, your 3-year-old kid was born racist, are ideas that are just being massively rejected right now. And so that definitely held up. So then New Jersey, I actually said New Jersey wasn't even worth watching, which is funny because it absolutely turned out to be worth watching. Looks like the Democrat has won there, but the swing there was almost as big as it was in New Jersey. It went from literally everyone thought New Jersey was not worth watching. As a matter of fact, when I was watching the results the other night, it was interesting because none of the news outlets, and I watched mostly liberal news outlets the other night because when things are going crappy for liberals, I like watching liberals melt down. So I was watching the liberals on CNN and MSNBC. Nobody had any data about what was going on in New Jersey because none of them bothered to spend any money to go to New Jersey to watch what was going on, because New Jersey was such a foregone conclusion about what was going to happen. It wasn't worth spending money and time there to figure out what was going on. And it was so close. It is close enough right now that while pretty much everybody has called it for the Democrat, it's close enough that the Republican is saying, wait, time out. Because not all the results are in yet. I think it's going to probably come down to 20,000 vote difference, something like that, which in a state that size is almost nothing. But that one's very interesting. If you look across the country, though, there's a good reason Democrats should be ripping their hair out right now, because of the fact that the Democrats, especially the liberal wing of the Democrats, the more socialist wing of the Democrats, took a beating everywhere, everywhere. In Minnesota, the defund the police stuff failed big time, failed massively. Close to home, watching Seattle. Seattle had its most sane election maybe in 15 or 20 years. I mean, the candidates, they had a city attorney candidate who was all for not prosecuting anybody anymore for anything. Had tweeted wildly offensive things about police officers and so forth. Had celebrated the firebombing of the police station, these sorts of things. She got crushed. I mean, she lost massively. That and she got beat by a Republican. And so the idea that in Seattle a Republican won anything is just shocking. But across Seattle, there were all sorts of things that the more conservative candidates won all over Seattle, which is, again, hasn't happened in quite a while. Seattle has multiple declared socialists elected to offices in Seattle, and to me, again, the basics of this is I think the individual voters, very many individual voters are idiots. If you talk to them individually, they're not well educated, those sorts of things. But I think the whole brilliance of we the people is that as a whole, we're pretty wise. And given time, I think because most people don't let politics run their life. They don't. We care about things, but most people don't let politics run their life, and they shouldn't let politics run their life. Because of that, most people are not paying that close attention. And so it's not until things start to hit them at home somehow. It's not until their daily lives are affected are they paying that close attention. And I think what's been going on in the schools is definitely hitting people at home. People absolutely care about what their kids are being taught. And when their kids are go to school and come home, and if their kid is white, they're being told, you're bad, you're evil, you have to take responsibility for the evil of everyone who's come before you. And if your kid's a minority, they're being told, you can't succeed. It's the world is against you, and there's, the oppressors have you down. You'll never make it anyplace. People look at that and go, this doesn't seem to make any sense. I mean, didn't we elect a president of the United States who's black, and don't we have black Supreme Court justices and secretaries of state and all this? That doesn't seem to make any sense. It doesn't compute in their daily life. And they go, no, I don't want my kids taught that. And they go, okay, so we want to stop it. So they go to their school board meetings to go, what the hell's going on? And the school board people go, shut up, you can't talk. And you have things like the Justice Department go, we're going to investigate parents because they're domestic terrorists. People go, what? And that really showed in the election. And the other thing, I can't remember if I predicted it on the video or not, but one of the things I predicted to several people was if the Democrats lose, it isn't going to make any difference because they're not going to listen. They cannot see what's going on. So if you look at New Jersey, how did New Jersey, I actually pulled up the articles, but New Jersey was polling 8 points ahead for the Democrat. How does it end up dead even when the polls are 8 points ahead? Well, it's because they do not recognize that they poll mostly Democrats. They are heavily weighted on Democrats. And they don't pay attention to the fact that the Republicans and conservatives lied to them when they do the polls. How is it cycle after cycle after cycle they get that wrong? It's because they don't listen. I don't know what it is about the liberal psyche. The liberal psyche has decided they're absolutely right on everything. And since they're absolutely right, they don't have to learn any lessons from the outside world. So it's interesting during the night watching the results come in, and through yesterday watching the television talking heads on CNN and MSNBC, who are wildly liberal. They are absolutely Democrats to socialists. And watching the liberal politicians like Nancy Pelosi and so forth, absolutely get it wrong about why the election went the way that it is, and they're so sure of themselves, they're just doubling down on the exact same thing. I mean, the stuff that happened in Virginia, the number one thing that Democrats and liberals are saying is CRTs not being taught in school, critical race theories not being taught in school. That's not exactly what people have been saying. People are not saying it's being taught in school. People are saying the theory is being used to guide what is taught in school. And so, from college students down to kindergartners, we're having seminars where we take everybody and say, we got to talk about racism, but the way we talk about racism is everybody white is racist and everybody who's not white is not racist. And they're going so far as to say stupid crap like only white people can be racist. That is critical race theory. A concept like only people in power can be racist, which is changing the definition of the word racism, is critical race theory. And it's all over the place. When the school boards are bringing in equity and diversity organizations to do reviews of their entire organizations, and they say things like, too many of your teachers are white, and so you're racist. That is critical race theory. Critical race theory says if you don't meet the numbers game, then it's a racist situation. It's those sorts of things. Critical race theory is massively affecting schools, and it's affected Central. I mean, I was heavily involved with a group of people who had to sit through diversity training at the bookstore at Central Washington University, and it was critical race theory shoved down their throat. Absolutely. That all you white people are racist, and only white people can be racist. I mean, they even had a Hispanic student go, what do you mean I can't be racist? I'm offended you say I can't be racist. That's a great line. That just was a great response, because they were literally there saying, no, you can't be racist. You can hate anybody you want. It's not racism. It's like, and so because they're saying, no, it's not even, they're just putting down basic human beings who can look at stuff for themselves and go, I'm seeing what's going on, and I don't like it. They're going, oh, you're stupid. That is absolutely the Democrat Party line is, you are stupid. You're too stupid to know what's really going on, and only they do. So it's interesting because I, of course, would like to see a shift in power in Washington, D.C., and the thing that would make it most likely to keep the House and the Senate from shifting would be if the Democrats had a big wake-up call the other night and went, whoa, we got to back off. And you're hearing some. It is interesting when you hear James Carville. If you don't know who that is, look up James Carville. James Carville has been one of the leading Democrat advisors. When James Carville is going, wokeism is what's killing us, stop this crap, you know the Democrats have jumped the shark. When you're getting wildly liberal people who are going, you're all way too liberal, that's a real wake-up call, and he's predicting a bloodbath for the Democrats a year from now. And the whole thing is if they'd gone, whoa, we've got to back off, and we need to bring sanity back, and we need to get this stuff under control, and we need to work our way back to the middle of America, that might have made a big difference. They've got a whole year, but that's not what they're doing. They are doing 100% the opposite. The absolute line is that what happened in Virginia is because of racism, which is crazy because they also, on the same night they elected a Republican as their governor, as lieutenant governor, the second highest position in the state, they elected an immigrant female Jamaican American to the second highest position in their state. And they elected a Hispanic to their state's attorney general's office. And so the next two down ticket ones were Republican minorities. It doesn't make basic logic sense, which to me is perfect. It's because they're not logical people. And again, this is, to me, remember, this is a liberty thing. And the liberty thing that's being demonstrated here is they don't care about you. They don't care about what you think. They don't care about what you believe. They don't care about how your life exists. They don't care about any of those things because they believe they are smarter than you. They believe that they know more than you. They believe they have the moral authority to control your life any way they want to. And so, even in an election, it's funny because you will have heard very recently with everything that's going on in Congress, with this, if you're following it all, what's happening in Congress right now is there are two bills sitting there, and those two bills have crashed to a halt, so Biden can't get his agenda across. And they can't get their agenda across because of two senators who are going, whoa, this stuff is way crazy for me, so you need to back off. And if you're not going to back off, then I'm not going to support it. And what you've heard is liberal pundits on television saying, this is threatening democracy. No, this is democracy. This is 100% how a representative republic works. That these people were elected. Oh, by the way, they conveniently leave out the 50 Republicans who are also against this. So it's 52 against 48, not 48 against 2 like they're laying it out. And then they claim, oh, democracy is the problem. Well, that's what's happened the last couple of days. Is just saying it's racism. These people shouldn't get to decide stuff. See, because they're smarter than you and they know more than you and they are more holy than you, and so they've decided you don't get to say anything because because the smart people should just get to decide everything for you. Oh, that's communism. They would be more than happy to sign up for a communist dictatorship where one party rule decides everything, and then they give you civic scores on how holy you are. And just like they've been doing with the COVID stuff, they want your neighbors to report on you if you're not worthy. Oh, can I back that up? Yes, it's happening all over college campuses where you can report on somebody who had a microaggression, and then they're going to come in and they're going to investigate it. And the fact that you were even investigated, one, makes you a target of all of the other people at school, and it goes into your records and things like that you're a racist. Why? Because you said something that somebody took offense at. Taking offense is now something in America, that apparently being offended is now unacceptable. So I just want you to watch these things. It was very interesting, and for personal liberty, it was a massive win. I mean, almost as, okay, they could have eked it out in New Jersey. Oh, by the way, I want to bring up one other in New Jersey. I want to pop open a story. One of the most interesting ones was the president of the New Jersey Senate. So we're not even talking just run-of-the-mill Democrat. We're not talking just a run-of-the-mill senator. The president of the New Jersey Senate. He has been a senator for over 20 years in New Jersey, is currently being beat by Ed the truck driver. Literally, Ed the truck driver. The story has been saying that Ed only spent $150 on his campaign. I actually believe that I've seen that that's not true. He actually spent about $1,500 on up against hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he basically did one television ad that was shot by his nephew's friend, I think is what he said. And it was him walking through his driveway going, look what's going on. Look what's going on. Elect somebody who's not one of those guys. And bang, he gets elected. He's a Republican. So a Republican took out the president of the Senate, and the person who took out the president of the Senate was not some big politician. He was just a normal person. So when you think you can't do anything, it's just not true. Follow Ed the truck driver. Ed the truck driver went, wait a second, I can get involved in this. I can do this. And not Ed the rich truck driver. Ed the dude who went, do I have enough in my pocket to make this happen? Okay, let's try it with that. And went out and beat the president of the Senate in a wildly liberal state. Gives me some hope for Washington state. Maybe one of you should get up and take out one of these politicians through election. Before anybody gets any ideas that I said something. No, I mean the democratic way. Go and supplant them. Anyway, it was an interesting election.